Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and all in between. Welcome to Sci-Fi. This is my co-host Brian Teitelbaum. How you doing, buddy?
I'm fantastic. How about you?
I'm totally excited. I've been trying to get someone to come on. We've had so many great conversations about science fiction and comic books and all that kind of stuff. So when you said you were down, I was totally excited. So tell us how you came to be a Star Wars fan.
So it actually started with my aunt. I would say probably 7 or 8 years old, roughly. She had the original toys. One of them is right there. We got OG Luke. It's just easier to do it this way. We got OG Luke back there. Actually, no, we'll just bring him out. So clearly a very old toy. And I did not know anything about it. And she had all the toys, let me play with them. I did lose most of them. But that being said, she hooked me. And at that point on, it became not just a me and her thing, it was a me and my dad thing, me and my mom thing. I'm not sure if this is good or bad, but my nickname in grade school was Chewy. So it could be good, could be bad. I don't know. That was my nickname growing up, though. So I don't know.
Nice. Yeah. So okay. So you're 8 years old. You see the original trilogy, and then the new trilogy comes out, which is my kids' Star Wars.
Beyond excited.
You know,
I couldn't even begin to tell you how excited I was to go see the movie. I bought all the toys before I even saw the movie. Like I actively remember the whole thing.
And the action figures, I was one of the kids who got an empty box for Christmas that announced that they're coming, and you would get one each month. You know, there was like 6 months or something like that. And I had the original Boba Fett with the shooting projectile. Yeah. They made everyone mail them back. Well, they didn't, you know, the parents mailed them back, you know, got a replacement. But yeah, man, I couldn't wait for Star Wars. But and when this came out, so I went with my buddy Eric Troy, who worked on the armor for Mandalorian season 3. He was also in the Star Wars Ewok TV show. And so I went with him, and we worked at the special effects house together. The whole reason why I got into films was Star Wars, you know, even though there's Planet of the Apes and some other stuff, but Star Wars is what hooked me. You know what I mean? And, but yeah, so I've been looking forward to, let's break down the trilogy of trilogies with episode 1. And, yeah, The Phantom Menace. This will be interesting. Okay, here we go.
Turmoil has engulfed the Galactic Republic. The taxation of trade routes to outlawing star systems is in dispute. Having to resolve the matter with the blockade of deadly battleships, the greedy Trade Federation has stopped all shipping to the planet of Naboo, while the Congress of the Republic endlessly debates this alarming chain of events. The Supreme Chancellor has secretly dispatched 2 Jedi Knights, the guardians of peace and justice in the galaxy, to settle the conflict.
Wow. Thanks, Darth. So, yeah, The Phantom Menace. So, totally excited. We get there. Now, you know, this is the cosplay wasn't a huge thing at the time when this came out. So I'm in Westwood at the theater, and the streets blocked off and everything. There's people having, you know, lightsaber fights, and, you know, everyone's there, and there's stormtroopers, and all the media's there. And it was, so I've never been in a theater where so many people cried when the 20th Century Fox, you know, dun, 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 dun.
It was something. The one thing I will say I remember, and this was obviously a couple days after, because I didn't see it the first day. Conan O'Brien with the Triumph, the dog. Standing outside of the first showing of that. If you guys haven't seen it, it is one of the funniest Triumph skits that I've absolutely ever seen. He makes fun of everyone.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's what he does. But that is still a standout from this
Right.
movie.
They were there. Yeah. Doing that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Dude,
it was
yeah.
it
So
was a thing. It was a big thing.
absolutely. It was an event. It was a cultural event. This is like, not everyone had cell phones at the time. And, everyone was waiting for this movie for a whole generation. And everyone said, well, there's 9 Star Wars ideas, and they're, oh, we're not going to make another one. And then George finally wanted to make another one. So The Phantom Menace is a 1999 film written and directed by George Lucas, produced by Rick McCallum and starring Liam Neeson, Ewan McGregor, Natalie Portman, Jake Lloyd, and Ian McDiarmid. In the first chapter of the Star Wars prequel trilogy, the 4th theatrical Star Wars release overall, and chronologically the first film in the Star Wars saga. See, they could have just kept the numbers going.
They could have.
You know what I mean? Like, there's prequel anyway, so it doesn't matter. It's out of order anyway. But
choice.
Yeah. So it was the first movie to basically Star Wars movie to come out in 16 years. It grossed $924.3 million worldwide, making it the second highest grossing Star Wars film when adjusted for inflation. Okay. So let's break down this movie.
Me so can't stand Jar Jar Binks.
Oh my God.
I really don't know what to say about that character. I'm not sure. I know we know what the thought was, right? Cute things work. Yoda worked like great.
Well, I had an epiphany today. I think I figured it out. Because everyone was like, what are you doing? And everyone's like, well, the original Star Wars trilogy was for kids too. Yeah, before George Lucas had kids.
That's fair.
Now he's influenced from all the fare that the kids are watching in his house. He's influenced clearly, because he's got the test audience right in his living room, and they wanted to see, you know what I mean? So he was, and that's where, but yeah.
I mean, you look at how Yoda talked, right? Yoda had his speech, and then they tried a new one, and it could not have possibly worked out worse. I can't imagine a worse setup for a character than what he got. I feel bad for whoever voiced him, whoever was involved with that. It wasn't their fault. The writing and
that's
and
Frank Oz. That's Frank Oz who does that. He also does Kermit the Frog, Fozzie Bear.
It was not good. So he sounds like he has good enough credentials to keep on moving on, but Jar Jar was not.
Oh, no, I'm sorry, not Jar Jar. I meant Yoda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
Jar Jar.
Yeah, I didn't like the digital Yoda.
Whatever that speech pattern was, didn't work. Yoda's works because Yoda's is funny. I don't know how
like
I can't do that. Like I can't have it. Like even joking, I can't have a Jar Jar conversation. A Yoda conversation, I absolutely could, but I can't imagine anybody understanding me outside them thinking that I had 35 Miller Lights. That's the only thing that would make sense for Jar Jar Binks.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, because a lot of people are like, man, this acting's flat. And a lot of it is because of what they're reading. But also this is really the first time when people are in a spectacle of green screen. So you have all these actors not used to it. And they're coming into it at a time when this is totally different. They only have half sets. Everything else is green.
So, I will say this. Now that I've been watching movies, I've got a great TV. It's 4K. It's beautiful. Watching movies from that era, on it now, it looks so bad. Like you can so tell. Like now, normal TV, throw in the VHS, it's gonna look great.
Right.
Throw in, you stream 4K on Disney Plus.
Right.
You're gonna be real disappointed.
But here's the thing, too. Like you can watch this, and it didn't age as well as the original trilogy.
Yeah,
because that matches the film that it's on and everything else, so it doesn't stand out as much, because
Not
you
good.
can clearly see, like, we used to call it rotoscoping lines. Like you can clearly,
the underwater swimming.
Or the force speed running. I'm like, oh, there's a new one.
Yeah. I'd say one of the big things that struck me about this movie And literally, I couldn't believe it. How young Ewan McGregor looks.
Oh, right, for sure.
He is. So how old is he? I know the answer. How old do you think he is?
Now?
And no, in that movie, when he filmed that movie, how old was he?
What was he? 26, 28, something like that?
26.
Yeah.
He was a young little pup. Like I couldn't
Yeah.
really believe when I saw his face. I was like,
Yeah, and
huh?
it was funny too because it was funny with him trying to find the eye line of the character that they hadn't created, and like I was like cracking up during like every single time, and every scene that well that's in the next movie, but okay, I'll get to that one then. But yeah, so it was just off putting because no one could find eye lines.
It was a struggle.
Yeah, and the sound editing was all over the place. I have
That's
to
fair.
every time a ship flies over, I have to turn the oh holy heart attack, you know. Yeah,
Yeah. No, we did that.
but you know.
I've got to say, I've got some questions about the stability of the planet Naboo in general. They were swimming through the planet's core, right? So I just do have questions about how their entire environment works. It just seems like that's not quite a thing that I would have expected. Thinking about it,
Right.
like when I watch it, I'd be like, "Cool." Now I'm like, I wonder how that works. That was a question for me.
Well, maybe that was just a channel or part of it, you know,
I
that goes through
I
there.
I suppose that could be a thing.
You know, maybe that's the part that keeps it from the whole planet overheating. Who knows? Pulled that running right out of my ass. You like that?
All right, what else you got? What other good points you got?
There's always a bigger fish. Like a lot of this stuff was like the punchline, you know, like the Anakin. I feel sorry for the kid. You know what I mean? A lot of pressure, and the dialogue he was given was just, you know,
Well,
you
I
know,
don't know
some
which
of it
movie's
was
worse.
painful.
One or two dialogue, both equally.
Right.
But for sure on this one, he was not given a lot to work with,
No,
truthfully.
no, he wasn't.
They didn't do anyone favors besides maybe Natalie Portman. Maybe. Like that's
Right.
the only one that I felt like favors were given to because
Right.
I think it was obvious a star was coming. That one felt like it.
Right.
That's the only person that I felt like was written. I don't want to say even well, but okay.
Right. Yeah, she was able to do more with it, type of, you know, whatever
Well,
ingredients.
she also got to like hide in the background too. I mean, being the,
Yeah, she had a
she's
duality going on already. Yeah.
which helps. Like
Yeah.
that helps build the character a ton
Oh,
versus
for sure.
everybody else who's kind of straightforward.
Yeah, and it reminded me a lot of the fall of the Roman Empire. The architecture is very Roman. You know, there's a lot of that type of stuff, but Jar Jar wow. But anyway, but yeah, of the um one of the things that, you know, because at first, like, nothing's really Star Wars.
No,
Like, it is, but it isn't because it's new, and there was no dirt. You
yeah.
know, everything was super clean. The ship was chrome. That kind of threw me off back then, you know, but it's the
How great of
Piper
a ship
ship.
that was.
Yeah,
How good of a
awesome.
ship.
Yeah,
Like
great design.
watching that this week, rewatching it and being like,
Yeah.
you know what? That ship was great.
Oh,
It
for sure.
looks good. It fits in the universe. It's not like something that totally wouldn't fit. It's just
Right. Right.
sleek.
Yeah.
Loved
It
it.
was badass. And then one of the things that made it Star Wars from that started, okay, I'm like, okay, now is when they did the wipes. You know, they'd go from one scene to another and they'd wipe across the screen. Okay, now I'm in. But yeah, badass ship, you know, for
All
sure.
right, so I've got a couple plot holes that I actively need to talk about that I still don't understand how they happened.
Like R2D2 being force sensitive.
That could be one. Um, so, as we know, Jedi mind tricks, right? Like that's a thing. Like we all know how that works.
Mhm.
So I've got a big problem with the ship needing repairs, and we've got two Jedi's that land on the planet, right? They land on Tatooine. They're hanging out. They're trying to get the ship fixed. They go over there. They try to get it, parts, and tries the mind trick. And he's like, "Your Jedi mind tricks won't work on me." Cool. All right. So if you're a Jedi, you're resilient, you're smart. There has to be someone else on the entire planet who has some type of money that you could just walk up to and just be like, "You will give me your credits."
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, that's
Well,
it.
then that wouldn't be honest. That would go against the ways.
I get it.
If they were gray Jedi, sure, they could do it, but gray Jedis weren't invented until 6 months ago. So
my point is, though, there would be easier ways to come about this money.
Of course,
Like,
but they got 2 hours to go, baby.
I get that, and that's fine. But to me, that was like a huge thing. And then, like, moving off of that, like, how are you gonna let an 8-year-old kid race in a pod race when you're literally a Jedi? It just seems like it would be easier for you than the little kid, right? I mean, I understand that this is heir apparent. We don't know that yet, but like,
remember, Obi-Wan at the time didn't like to fly, and Quinn John Ill didn't fly.
I get it, but it just seems like they could.
I know it
muster
doesn't fly.
something up, like muster something,
right?
To
But
not
we
make
had
this poor slave child and his mother be part of your job to get her back.
Maybe Shmay, maybe she won't.
Yeah, that one bothered me. Like, I sat there and I rewound it twice, and I watched the movies with my wife, and she was very excited to watch them with me, and she's like, "Wow, we're gonna do this," and I'm like, "Yeah, we're gonna do this. We got to talk about it."
Yeah.
And she's like, "How do you feel about this?" And I'm like, "I just feel like I'm poking this apart right now, and I can't stop." And I want
to be fair, we love Star Wars.
Absolutely.
Like, we're just like watching it. Doesn't change our love for the franchise.
No, it's a great series. But watching it again for the first time in a long time.
I have a theory about R2D2 and C3PO, and I think C3PO, the reason why he was stripped down, Anakin didn't really rebuild him. He got him somehow, whatever transpired in order to get those parts. But I think, like, they're from the first age or something,
Hey, I'm into anything with those two. They're the Bert and Ernie of the Star Wars universe.
Right. Or what's his name? Palpatine's master. Maybe his consciousness got sent into that droid, and he's been hidden there, aiding the whole thing the whole time. I know
that anything is possible.
I smoke weed, but yeah. So Darth Maul, one of the best designs.
Oh my god, so good,
dude! Look at that.
So damn good, so good. I so good.
Yeah, Ray Parker. Just amazing on screen. Just
it's a presence. It's a legitimate presence every time he's on the screen, and so good.
How do you rival Darth Vader?
You did.
How do you rival that?
That's just wild.
Yeah.
You get that guy.
There's your favorite.
Oh no. Hang on. I will get out the Hasbro creation version of that.
Oh, nice.
There we go.
There you go.
He doesn't quite do justice.
Let's see. There's a side view of him.
Oh no.
Me so sorry.
Another thing that I do have to ask is, so they're on Naboo, right? We know that they're just hanging out there.
Yeah.
In the history of Naboo, there's been nobody who's tried to take it over. Like, the Gungans just decide today is our day that we're going to start helping the other people that live here. Like, what? But at no point in their history there was any conflict. Like, it seems like it's a great planet to live on. They
Yeah.
all live in peace and harmony. Nobody's bothering anybody until
Right.
one day they come on up and they're like, you know what? Today is the day.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's a choice, and I'm happy that it happened. Now we've got a united Naboo.
Right. Yeah, they had to do something. But yeah, I still think Amidala's ship seemed a little bit out of place. But feel bad. Bill, I still feel bad for Anakin. Shitty dialogue. That was cool. R2 saves the day as the droid on top of the ship. The other two get blasted away. Yeah, that's why I
Not just
think he's like
blasted.
force.
Not just blasted. They
Yeah,
got this. They got
that's why I
massacred.
think he's like force sensitive because he's got the luck of, you know. And we'll get into the final trilogy where they screwed all the main characters, but that's another.
Oh, we're too far away from me to
Yeah,
get excited about or
yeah.
angry
So
about that one.
yeah, so then they took shelter at Shmai's, and then building C-3PO, R2-D2, and C-3PO meet again. Uncomfortable humor happening.
On the C-3PO piece, that was a cool origin.
Yeah,
Like seeing him without anything on him, like just the wires, like that is I like that. That's how I always want my if we're going back in time to tell any story,
right.
give me that. Like
That's what I'm
I
saying. I
need
think
that.
there's something else behind C-3PO, like in the larger,
Well,
you know.
maybe one day we'll find out.
But then, so then the Immaculate Conception happens.
So this was on my notes too. I don't know how to feel about this one.
Who was
You know,
his
I
father?
I
Yeah.
had forgot about that storyline. Truthfully, I had forgot that was a storyline. Did you forget or do you remember?
No.
Okay, I forgot. So for me, when I was watching that, I was like, huh. I mean, because we could fast forward, which we're not going to do, but the newer movies, the latest ones, huh? Like there was a moment in some of the newer ones where it's like, oh, okay. So I'm curious, who do you think? What is the origin of the baby?
It could be Palpatine.
Okay.
Immaculate, like test tube, whatever, boom, she wouldn't know. Like we still don't know her backstory,
Well, yeah, we don't.
or it could be, who knows, you know?
I don't have a good like because I was thinking about it afterwards. I'm like, all right, who like truthfully and like George Lucas's mind, like who would he have thought this to be? And I think it's just like
Here's a
kind of
mind
like
fuck.
the
Make it, uh, Daisy Ridley. Make it her character, and it's she actually gives birth to her own she gives birth to Darth Vader.
oh, that's I mean I could why not at this point?
Yeah,
I'm just sitting here like I don't know, and I like that I don't know
yeah,
because obviously we could. What I hope happens with this whole trilogy is we like. I'd love a backstory, obviously
yeah,
not Skywalker related. Just give me something
yeah.
when it began, like
Right.
the first lightsaber. Like call it that. I don't care.
Yeah,
I
go back. Yeah,
love that idea.
yeah. The first Jedi or whatever. Go back
We
to
don't
the old kingdom.
however it started and
Yeah.
whoever's opinion it is. Like I'm into that. That's the story I want to know too. Whoever's story it is, I'm into it. Write it.
Right.
Somebody write it,
Right.
please.
Right. Right. Then they went into a Bill Cosby bit. After Jar Jar's face crosses the plasma beam. Fiber, there's smother coming out of my mouth. That was the Bill Cosby bit, and it was basically a play on that. The pod race. Okay, so I've seen this movie 1,500 times because my kids watched it a lot, and so the pod race part of it I skipped through. But it's
How dare
American
you? How
Graffiti
dare you?
and Lucas.
Sebulba? You do not want to watch Sebulba almost conquer victory? He's the
Yeah,
king of pod racing.
and it was parts of it were too comic-y and too stiff a performance. And Andy wins the pod race, securing his own freedom. And then it goes to the Senate, and you see E.T.'s back in there. You know, his race is. Then Palpatine becomes nominated for Supreme Chancellor. And then we finally meet the Jedi Council.
Pretty cool.
You know, I think the Senate. I mean, all that. Most of the special effects look great. There's just some of them that, you know, the fighting scenes, the lightsaber scenes were fantastic. You
Some
know,
of the it's
yeah,
hard for me to say the
the
best.
pacing was really good. You know what I mean? It was
It was
really, really
beautiful.
good.
Cinematically watching that,
Yeah.
that was that took me back now. Watching it, I was like, this was good. Like, this was not every jump back, that was all totally designed, and it was beautiful.
Right. Yeah, and
100
you know, and then seeing the double-sided lightsaber for the first time, everyone got a movie boner.
How
It
cool
was
was
like,
that?
yeah.
How cool. I
Yeah.
don't have it anymore, but at one point I did have the double-sided.
Yeah, my son had one. He had like 6 different ones, you know. But then Quinn John, I just called him the dude
Kim
from
Jong-un.
Korea. Yeah,
Guy Quanjin.
yeah, exactly. I think I did it earlier too. That's hilarious.
You did, but I didn't
Oh,
want to
dude,
correct you
totally
yet. I
give me
figured you
shit
get
for it. Yeah.
it.
So he totally bones Obi-Wan and wants to, hey, give me the kid. You know, yeah, Obi-Wan's done. Give me the kid. And then the dreaded midichlorians. That divided people like crazy. You know?
Yeah.
Because
would
it
love to
wasn't the
know.
Force. The Force is a mysterious thing. You weren't supposed to know what it is.
100%.
You know?
100%. Now it all of a sudden became something was it injectable? Is it take-outable? Like, can I just go up to a Jedi and go steal all of them? Is that a thing that I can go do?
Right.
I'd like to.
Right.
I'd like to be able to do this and make people do whatever I want. Be sweet.
Totally. Then you could say cool lines like this. Now this is pod racing.
Who's to say I don't do that every time I get in the car?
Right? Woohoo! That's what I say after every. Now this is podcasting. Yeah. So Quinn John, Darth Maul fight. That was really cool. I like how they built up the anxiety and the tension with the force field
Force
walls.
fields.
You know, it's like all of a sudden Obi-Wan lost the force running ability.
So that was what Bob. I also have this as a note. How could he not just be like, and move it just for a second for him to get out?
Right. Or hold it.
Yeah, even better. Keep it open. like I watched that part, and it's a really cool scene, right? So like,
Yeah.
I appreciate the cinematic part of like,
Well, there already is
hold and
the
wait.
things about separation.
Right, and that's great.
The
And I
entire
love
scene.
thinking about that.
The separation of the chase, the separation of when he dies, and then the separation of Darth Maul actually getting separated. You know, and remember, when you fall in Star Wars, you never die.
Yeah, well, yeah, this was, to be honest, I was very like, the first time I saw it, I was like, whoa, that dude got cut in half. And watching it again, I'm still like,
Oh yeah.
they did that. They did that. Like, straight up, dude got cut in half. Like,
Oh, for sure.
no remorse. And it was pretty good.
Yeah, just amazing choreography. I'm sure they must have worked on that for months.
Oh, they had to have.
You know?
It was just too good, truthfully.
And then we can't forget the Trade Federation. We have to not forget to mention them. You know, because they just seem to come off like such wusses, you know. And there was a lot of like, talk about, oh, this is supposed to be these people, and Jar Jar is supposed to represent these group of people. It's like, dude, they're fictional characters in space.
I don't think Jar Jar represents literally anyone.
Right. Gotta love Jar Jar.
So good.
But then, I was like, when Quinn got killed, I was like, how come you didn't? How come your clothes didn't? Like Obi-Wan, he got killed in the robes, he disappeared.
So you set a precedent for that, and then you didn't do it. So it seems like if we're moving forward a little bit, Obi-Wan was ready to go, and maybe at a better place in the Force than Qui-Gon ever got.
Maybe
I don't know that he ever got there.
A learned skill.
I mean, Yoda kind of did it, so checks out.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yoda. Maybe he wasn't advanced enough. He might have been a good mentor, but maybe he didn't have enough time with the Force. But then, that's for another day.
Then the celebration, though, the funeral pyre first, and then the gratuitous Star Wars celebration theme where at the end everyone looks at each other before it goes.
Yeah, it's a rite of passage for the Star Wars films, I feel like.
Yeah. And I love Star Wars, and George Lucas always says, things have to rhyme. So his trilogies rhyme with each other. And it was really sad that they didn't, when they bought Lucas, I get it, it's a transaction. But when you go the total opposite way, the guy who created the entire universe, you may not like the way he writes or directs. And that's not, but what he created, no one else has created that.
Totally agree.
It was, and it was basically done on a bet.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he was the first AD for Francis Ford Coppola. And he's the one who put up the money for American Graffiti.
Okay.
And then he's like, look, if you really want to write something with, like a religion in it, because everyone relates to religion. And then he went away and he wrote Star Wars.
Interesting.
And when he released it, I think he had $138 in his bank account.
Yeah, well, he's got a lot more in it now.
And he was sitting in Mexico. So
he's in much better shape.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And there's a theory going on that there's a single buyer bidding to buy Lucasfilm.
Okay.
So we shall see if George buys back his baby and sets the world right, because he's back involved. There's a whole bunch of political yakada that but
I don't think Disney's going to give that up if they.
Dude, Disney's about to sell to Apple.
Well, Apple's going to buy everything,
and but I bet you they'd let George take Star Wars back, because they need an infusion of cash to make it.
Yeah, well, they'll if they do that, they'll make sure they keep some part of the rights for their parks, because they're not going to just. They built that Star Wars land. They're not going to just give it up easy.
Oh, right. Yeah, there would still be. Yeah, there would still be.
Right. There'd still be all that stuff, but there's no way they're going to give it up.
No.
Mildly easy. It would be hoop through hoop through hoop.
Right. Right on, right on. So, okay. So what was your overall opinion?
So,
episode 1.
Rewatching it. No, so obviously I've got kind of a skewed perspective, right? So I watched it as a kid. I was like, this is different, right? Watched it as a teenager. I'm like, how is this even related? Right now, watching it now, I appreciated the first one much more than I thought I would. I think had it been first, would we have gotten the second one? Probably not, right? But knowing that we got 3, 4, and 5, it's an okay one.
Right.
It's not the best one, but there's enough in it for me to be like, okay. So as a kid, if I had not seen the first or 3, 4, 5 first, I would have been into one a lot, right? I would have been like, cool, this is good. I think obviously there is some writing holes. They could have cleaned up a lot,
right?
Because there was some stuff that was just confusing in general in the movie.
Hey,
But overall,
he wrote this long form on legal pads.
that explains some of this.
While he was Mr. Mom, and so he had that kids show thing going on.
I feel like it's okay, and I think it was a good 2-hour investment. I enjoyed it when I was done with it. There was yes, the pod race scene was about. It was probably like 20 some minutes long.
I'm just saying, I've seen it literally 1,000 times with my kids, so I was like, okay, do not need to, because
but it's probably 20 some minutes long. I mean, it's
but
long.
it was with the volume up and down every 3 seconds, is driving me crazy.
So I don't know that was much needed.
Right, it was visually great, and George loves his fast vehicles. He loves his hot rods, and
right. So overall, I would say it's okay. It ages kind of poor, but I also appreciate it for what it was. If that makes sense. So that's my opinion on it. What about you?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people are like, "Oh man," blah, blah, blah. I'm like, dude, it's for kids. I mean, we like it because we're 40, but we've been waiting for it for or 30, because we were waiting for it since we were fucking 16 or 15 years old when the last one came out.
I mean, you're trying to reinvigorate an audience. You're trying to get that people back, and you're trying to get a new crowd, and it did that.
Right. And it only made sense because there was a huge Star Wars is fucking huge.
Right.
And why wouldn't they capitalize? It always blew my mind that they didn't do it, But George is out inventing gaming and, learning software and all types of stuff, investing in CGI and, starting, what do you call it? What's that animation called? Pixel or Pixar? What is it? Yeah, Pixar.
He started that? I didn't know.
That with Steve Jobs, yeah.
Interesting.
And then sold it to, Disney. But, so he's always been at the cutting edge, And once we get to the original trilogy, I will tell you of my visit to Skywalker Ranch to interview the man himself. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. But, yeah, so that's all I have to say for this. I mean, overall, it was a kid's movie. Jar Jar Binks was annoying. And I personally agree with the conspiracy theory that the Phantom is Jar Jar Binks and that he was originally going to be a Sith, because if you watch his reactions to everything that happens, there's other things going on.
I'm here for that.
In episode 2. But basically, he's based on this character from Chinese film called The Drunken Uncle.
Okay, well, that fits.
And it's the Drunken Master.
Okay.
And Jackie Chan made a movie about it, and it's a type of character who flops around, and he's the one actually coordinating everything, but he's such a goof that no one would even entertain that he's the one in control. Kind of a thing.
Yeah, I'm good if Jar Jar.
Not exactly, but that's I think how that but it's a theory. What do I know? But yeah, so coming up next week we have episode 2.
Oh boy,
the whiny movie.
This movie, I can't wait.
Right? Yeah. So right. May the fun be with you, and live long and laugh. And we're gonna wrap up this episode. I'm V. That's Brian. Brian, great job. Let's do episode 2 right away. And we'll see you guys later. And thanks for viewing Sci-Fry. Have a good one, everybody.
See you guys.